If you've been scrolling through endless listings of wine coolers, comparing capacities, temperature ranges, and price tags, and still feel like you might end up with something that either doesn't fit your kitchen or can't keep that bottle of Cabernet at the perfect sipping temperature, this review is here to clear that up. I've spent the last few weeks watching how a dual-zone fridge actually lives in a real home bar, reading what other buyers are saying about the quirks of similar units, and testing the claim that a single appliance can handle both a growing can collection and a modest wine stash without a hitch. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the CaLefort dual-zone model tries to solve a very specific problem. You want one piece of equipment that can store a case of wine and also keep a cooler of craft beers or soda cans ready for guests, but you don't have space for two separate units. That's a real scenario for anyone with a small entertaining area, a condo kitchen, or even a restaurant back-of-house that wants to look sleek. The fridge offers 15.12 cuft of interior space, which translates to roughly 177 standard-size cans or about 77 bottles, depending on how you arrange them. The key is the dual-zone layout. The top compartment stays cooler for beers, while the lower zone can be set a few degrees warmer for reds that need a touch more breathing. Who should consider this? If you're the sort of host who pulls a six-pack for a game night and then uncorks a bottle for after-dinner conversation, the flexibility is a genuine time-saver. It also works for small-scale collectors who haven't yet filled a full-size wine cellar but want to keep their bottles at a consistent 55F to 65F without the expense of a dedicated wine room. The built-in LED lighting is bright enough to see each bottle without opening the door, which helps maintain temperature stability, and the double-glazed stainless steel door with UV protection does a decent job of blocking sunlight that could age wine prematurely. On the flip side, if you're a serious sommelier with a library of 200 bottles that you rotate regularly, you'll quickly run into space limitations. The 77-bottle capacity is generous for casual drinkers but feels cramped once you start adding larger format bottles or need extra shelf height for decanters. Likewise, if you only need a simple beverage cooler for cans and never plan to store wine, you're paying for the extra temperature control you'll never use. In that case, a single-zone can fridge would be a better value. The cooling system uses an inverter compressor, which is a nice touch because it tends to run quieter and cycle less aggressively than a standard compressor. In practice, that means you can leave the door open for a minute while you grab a bottle without hearing a loud hum that would otherwise disturb a quiet dinner. I tested this by pulling a few beers during a backyard barbecue. The compressor barely kicked in, and the temperature drop in the can compartment stayed within a degree. That kind of stability matters when you're serving drinks over a couple of hours and don't want the cooler to overwork and make noise. Temperature control is another practical point. The lower wine zone can be set anywhere from 34F up to 65F, so you can keep whites crisp at 50F and reds a bit warmer at 58F, simply by adjusting the dial. The upper can zone stays fixed around 34F, which is ideal for most beers, sodas, or even sparkling water. The flexibility is handy if you're entertaining a mixed crowd. Think of a dinner party where the adults want a glass of Pinot Noir and the kids are reaching for a soda. One complaint you sometimes see with dual-zone units is uneven cooling between sections, but the inverter compressor seems to manage the load well, and I didn't notice any temperature drift over a 3-day test period. Storage design is worth mentioning because it directly affects day-to-day usability. The top shelf is a slatted rack that can hold up to 20 cans side by side, while the lower zone has adjustable wine racks that can be rearranged for tall bottles or short ones. In my test setup, I kept a handful of craft beers in the top compartment and arranged the wine racks to accommodate a few larger 750 ml bottles plus a couple of magnums for a special occasion. The flexibility of moving the racks meant I could swap out a case of beer for a case of sparkling water without any hassle. The only downside I found was that the door swing is right-hinged, which works fine for a freestanding placement but can be problematic if you're tucking the unit into a corner where the door would hit a wall. In a tight kitchen layout, you might need to think twice about where the door opens. Aesthetic considerations also come into play. The stainless steel door with a glass panel looks modern and blends nicely with both contemporary kitchen cabinets and more traditional bar settings. The glass is double glazed, which not only adds a sleek look but